Hello everyone and welcome to game 2 in a series between FXO's ASD versus TSL's Symbol here on GSL Daybreak game 2 in what I believe to be a best of 3 series. We'll see what happens here as ASD spawning at what I'll call the 1 o'clock position on the north side of the map as the blue Protoss. Meanwhile, TSL Symbol spawning as the red Zerg on the bottom left hand side. They decided to change their colors for me. Thank you very much, as light blue versus blue, rather difficult to cast and figure out what's going down on the minimap. Now, so far, the games have been the one game so far has really been a show of Zerg power being able to expand twice within the first 5 minutes after a Protoss player tries to do a Forge Fast expansion. So really turning it into an economic game and really getting ahead here, and we'll see if Symbol does try to do that once more. The difficulty will be that the third base options, either here, or here, are all going to be much closer to your opponent than you would like than say on GSL Metropolis. So far, ASD has set up a front door pylon here. He may need a second pylon in order to set up that Forge Fast expansion. Meanwhile, the probe is still wandering around on the inside of the base, and the probe taking a very, very good look at what's happening at the hatchery and knows that so far no spawning pool has been placed down. Now, the Forge Fast expansion trick, or the Forge Fast expansion, was a strategy that really became popular, I would say about 6 to 9 months ago, and Zerg players recently have really been able to take advantage or just figure out how to stop the Forge Fast expansion. By stopping the Forge Fast expansion, either by setting up another hatchery of their own, knowing that there is not going to be an aggressive style of play, or by doing a 2-base all-in by using macro. ASD now setting up a pylon behind the mineral line, and Symbol does not see it. Buildings, as they're being built, have a very, very small sight radius. Probe now making its way up the ramp here. It is going to head back over. It may set up a photon cannon here and here, and if it does do that, that hatchery most likely will just get destroyed. One photon cannon there. Not quite sure if I agree with that. There is a little bit. It is easy to get surrounded. A queen could easily make its way over, and you really want to limit the surface area on those photon cannons in order to make sure that the Zerglings cannot get to it easily. We are going to see a proxy gateway, though, as now we see Zerglings chasing after the probe here. Is the probe going to set up the gateway in time? Yes, and he does set up the gateway, and there is another pylon there. So there is double pylons and a photon cannon, and there is the cancellation on that hatchery. The problem, though, is that ASD still does not have his own nexus here, as the gateway has been cancelled. Now the Zerglings are not really going to be able to charge into that situation. The nexus is up and running, and what is happening? Another gateway going to be established here, and perhaps another gateway or cybernetics core here to prevent any sort of easy run by. Now we have seen that the hatchery has been rebuilt here for Symbol, so Symbol being forced to take a third base that is a little bit closer, but not a real full base. It does have a rich Vespene geyser, though, so drones on that gas will be very, very efficient, as we'll see both of these hatcheries completing within 30 seconds of each other. Zerglings now doing a very, very good sweep of the map, making sure that there are no proxy pylons in play. But then again, he does have to worry about this double proxy pylon down here. Units will be able to warp in under the cover of a photon cannon, but then Zerglings should be able to surround that rather easily once it is ready to go. Hatchery about to be complete, or hatchery needing about another 30 seconds here. Meanwhile, another hatchery down over here. And as we also see the Zerglings chasing away the probe, ASD been trying to get into some rather cute play, and it hasn't worked out well for him. 27 drones versus 27 probes. And the Nexus is finally up and operational for ASD as he is continuing to chrono boost out more and more probes, and perhaps this will turn into a large economic game. Zealots, or one Zealot, will position itself in the choke point, deciding to move out and take a look across the map. ASD could perhaps try to get up a proxy Stargate here if he wants to. That would be a little bit of a risk, as Queens and Zerglings will be able to take that down rather easily. But then again, he needs to get in some harassment. He cannot allow Symbol to get up on 3 bases this easily. Stalkers now making their way around. It looks like that Overlord is just sitting in position right within plain sight, getting a lot of information, and now the Overlord finally being forced to run away. But that Overlord looks like it will simply fall rather quickly, as the ASD has plenty of room to catch up to that Overlord and shoot it out of the sky. Still nothing happening over here at this proxy pylon base. Meanwhile, Symbol still continuing to set up more and more drones, as another Overlord may try to come in and take a good look. ASD once again going very heavy on 2 additional assimilators, and we may see that straight up Colossi play once more. We are going into a robotics facility. We are already getting into a lair, and now with that we may go into a Hydralisk den as well and see a very effective Roach Hydralisk push with those Groove Spine upgrades and level 1 range upgrades. So far, Symbol is only running off of 3 gas. He's not even harvesting any gas yet, just now transferring 3 drones over here. The Rich Vespene Geyser is now up, as the Stalkers trying to go after some Zerglings. This is going to be a very difficult battle for ASD, since he is fighting on creep. Even though the metabolic boost wasn't completed, fighting on creep is still a little bit difficult, as the Zerg units, the Queens and the Zerglings, are able to get there very, very easily. And then especially if the Zealot, with their slower movement speed, just gets stuck. Overseer now doing a quick flyby. You can see an Immortal is being trained. Immortals have been a recent addition to the Protoss army, as a lot of players find Immortals very, very effective dealing with those roaches, and then also very effective at just pushing back against any 2-base all-ins that sometimes do happen. Zerg players can stop a round of drones, get a round of roaches, and be very effective in terms of their damage early on in this game. One Immortal in play. We are going into an Observer, and now a second, or 1 Colossi. We are chrono boosting out the robotics facility, and that's what ASD really needs to do if he wants to get ahead in this game. However, we saw a crazy round of roaches come in from Symbol now getting up to 12 roaches, as it still feels like ASD is really limited on his information. Immortals, Sentries, Zealots now making a move across. Symbol is just dropping creep over here at what I'll call the 4 o'clock expansion location, but it looks like ASD may be trying to do a bit of a timing so far. ASD now moving across the map. He does have smaller numbers in terms of his units. Symbol does have a definite lead, but Symbol could easily take the but this ASD could easily take the lead once more if we do have enough sentries and enough Colossi to really just split the army in half. Roaches now making their way across the map. The Roaches are going to head over to the Zelnaga Tower, perhaps take down some easy sentries. No, 1 sentry does go down, but at the cost of a lot of Roaches, as the rest of the Roaches do get there in time. And not a good trade for Symbol. They're losing a lot of units just to take down 1 sentry, as the Roaches now continue to retreat once more. Proxy pylons are set up, and that is a prime position for perhaps a Doom drop to come in. Symbol not successful in game 1, so we'll see whether or not he will be successful in game 2. Sentries, Colossi, Immortals, Stalkers making another move across the map. I really like this play by ASD, making sure to double power all of his warp gates. This one, I guess the exception to the rule here, as one Artosis pylon would take down at least 3 of those gateways, as we now see Zerglings still wandering around the map. Overlords in very, very nice parking positions for Symbols in this map. Very, very nice, just because Overlords can position themselves in a number of places and not really get caught. Roaches now just simply pushing their way in here. Some Stalkers. Oh, 1 Stalker very low on hit points, down to 3. The Roaches without level 2 weapons upgrade, unable to deal the necessary damage, as now the Colossi making their way over. Symbol going to lose that scouting Overlord with the sight of a couple Colossi, as now the battle rages on. 2 Spinecrawlers quickly fall, and now ASD does another hit and run, as the Zerglings were trying to do a bit of a flank. There are Corruptors in the group. Symbol still has a 24 food army, but ASD utilizing the strength of Protoss, keeping his units together, using the Guardian Shields, minimizing the damage, and now getting in some force fields to make sure that no true damage could be dealt. ASD most likely going to wait for that corruption to slow down and not allow any additional damage to be dealt before re-engaging, as those corruptors really need to focus on those colossi to make sure that the roaches and hydralisks and zerglings can deal their damage. In comes a new wave of units. TSL symbol already at maximum food. We'll see if he's going to be able to engage easily. ASD needs to hit a timing here. He needs to attack. And if he's not successful with this attack, this is not going to be good. But another round of force fields come in once more. And the stalkers and corruptors trying to engage. The colossi going to break through those force fields. One colossi going to be in a bit of trouble, but a lot of units out of position as well. And now Symbol is stuck on the wrong side of the map. He needs to go through the Protoss army in order to get there. And now misrallied units coming in from Symbol. And now ASD can simply attack and deal some damage here, as the Zerglings and Roaches are now finally trying to push their way forward. A new round of force fields come in. No more colossi in the group, but now the useless corruptors are in the air, just absorbing a little bit of damage. Who is going to be able to exchange better? Zerglings now finally joining in on the fight. More stalkers now reinforcing in from behind. Zealots in the front as well. Zerglings need to take down some of these stalkers, but some drones were lost. So far 3-2 drones were lost, but there is the GG coming in from Symbol. Symbol really just overextended himself in one of those fights, tried to chase after units, and by chasing after those units, the colossi, stalkers, and zealots were all able to position themselves right here behind enemy lines and was able to place down force fields here. So really effective use of sentries, placing down force fields, gave Symbol a difficult time and gave ASD the game. ASD pretty much doing a 2-base all in, not trying to expand to the third, knowing that the colossi would probably be more than enough to deal with that ground army of hydralisks, roaches, and zerglings. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed game 2 in this best of 3 series.